Whoa, what is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Going to talk about a couple of things in this video. Would have had a video up yesterday for you guys regarding Ricky Seals-Jones, but I'll talk about it here. I was actually on a live stream with somebody else when that came out, so definitely talk about it in this video. A minor signing by the Giants, but it was something that we knew the New York Giants were going to have to make. I still don't think the New York Giants are finished at the tight end position. Expect them to draft one probably in the 3rd to 4th round area. I think they'll draft a running back as well. Reports have come out that the New York Giants have been looking at a number of running backs potentially in this year's draft. I think they were at Michigan State's Pro Day. Today, of course, they have one of the better running backs in this year's draft class, so we'll see how that all plays out. But I definitely think we're not done at the tight end spot quite yet. But I do think Ricky Seals-Jones is a solid pickup. I don't know, and if they have come out, I haven't seen him yet, the contract specifics of what we paid him, but he's still relatively young, 27 years old. Of course, he's had injury troubles since entering the NFL. I'll talk a little bit more about him and what he could potentially bring to this football team. Also, we're going to touch on the big news of the day, and that is, of course, Logan Ryan has officially been cut by the New York Giants, and this one's a little bit of a surprise to me. Now, I'll be the first to say, last year, I thought it was a mistake by the New York Giants to extend Logan Ryan for the amount of money in which they did on that 3-year contract, further committing themselves to that much money when they could have utilized that money to potentially keep Dalvin Tomlinson or potentially Kevin Zeitler. That's probably where I would have wanted the money to be utilized. Instead, they decided to pay him over $10 million a year on average over a 3-year deal. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that him and Joe Judge had a close relationship. They felt like he was one of the better leaders from within the locker room. Of course, after Judge left, well, Logan Ryan now becomes more expendable, and that's exactly what Joe Schoen decided to do. Not to mention you had already drafted Xavier McKinney, but this begs the question, what do you do now at the safety spot? Because we don't know if Jabril Peppers is coming back. Obviously, we have Xavier McKinney, but suddenly, with Logan Ryan now departing, there was a clear hole at that spot. Of course, maybe a guy like Julian Love could play there as well. We'll have to wait and see, but I was a little bit surprised, and the main reason I was surprised not because I love Logan Ryan at this point. As a matter of fact, I couldn't wait to cut him after this year for the cap savings, but you didn't save any cap, and we'll get into further detail of it in this video, so I don't really see the value in doing so, and we'll talk about what this may mean for the draft. I don't necessarily think, like a lot of other people do on Twitter, that this means the New York Giants are absolutely taking Kyle Hamilton. I don't even know if this ups the probability that we will, and I'll talk about that further in the video as well. But first, let's talk a little bit further about Ricky Seals-Jones. Been in the league for a little bit. He was an undrafted free agent. He actually played wide receiver at the collegiate level. He only ran a 4.69 40, and many felt he wasn't quite quick enough to play the wide receiver position. They transitioned him to a tight end with the Arizona Cardinals. He's known as a pretty good pass catcher. The problem with him, hasn't been able to stay on the field. Also, to my knowledge, is not the best in terms of blocking. But this is what he did last year. Of course, we all remember he caught that touchdown against our New York Giants. But here's what he's done over the last couple of years. Rookie year, he had 12 catches, 201 yards, 3 scores. Next year, 34, 343, and a touchdown, 14, 229, and 4 scores with the Browns in 2019. Took a year off in 2020, and then in 2021, with the Commanders, he had 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's a solid tight end, too, and definitely a guy that could be a threat in terms of being a pass catcher. Are we getting an all-world tight end? No. A lot of people, like I said, feel like he's kind of a guy that's in between a wide receiver and a tight end. Who does that sound like? Not that he has the same athletic ability of a guy like Evan Ingram, but we're getting a good pass catcher. Seems to, from what I've at least read, people feel like he's a little bit limited in terms of being a blocker and does carry a bit of an injury history. But for what the Giants had to spend, I think this is a good move. We knew the Giants needed to get some kind of talent at the tight end spot. They were able to do that, and expect them to continue to address that in this year's draft. So I think it was a good pickup. Giants don't have a whole lot of money to spend at this point. They'll try to, tie up some loose ends. Maybe you get some depth pieces on the line. Maybe you get yourselves a backup running back. I don't know what they're going to do. Don't expect a lot more signings. This is pretty much exactly what I thought they were going to do in terms of the positions that they brought in. You got a good backup quarterback. You, of course, got yourselves an interior offensive lineman that they desperately needed. You know you're going to have at least one starter there. And we knew that they needed to pick up a tight end. They're not working with a whole lot more. Now, let's dive into Logan Ryan. Little bit surprised by this, and it's because of the money more so than anything else. But let's dive further into it. This coming out from Logan Ryan after the news. Thank you, Captain Logue. Out. Saying goodbye to the fans in New York. Of course, he was loved by a lot of Giants fans. Good guy, captain, leader of the football team. This coming out from Ralph Vacchiano. final answer on this, and there was a lot of argument back and forth on Twitter as to how much the New York Giants were going to save from this move, because a lot of people question why they made the cut. Final answer on this, probably, and I think it's definitive, especially after I read what Art Stapleton said as well on the same topic, said the same thing. Giants clear $775,000 in cap space by cutting Logan Ryan per multiple sources. It was not a cost-cutting move. I know there are reports that say it's more, and there is confusion over his guaranteed money, but this is my final answer for now. So it was not a cost-cutting move. Maybe, and again, I'm just speculating, it could have been a move in which the Giants didn't feel like Logan Ryan was going to fit what they wanted to do, or perhaps it was Logan Ryan saying to the Giants, listen, I want to have an opportunity to go out there and compete. I see the writing on the wall. I see that you're a rebuilding football team. I'm 31 going on 32. I'm not going to have, much of an opportunity to play winning football for the rest of my career. Of course, he's a guy that's accustomed to winning. Had some winning seasons with Tennessee, of course, a lot of winning seasons with the New England Patriots. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Regardless, the Giants have moved on. How does it benefit the team? I don't think it really does. Not only does it only save $775,000 when you think about it, and I saw a lot of people mention this on Twitter as well, it really doesn't save us anything. As a matter of fact, you could argue it hurts the cap, because the Giants are probably going to have to spend as much, if not more, on the guy that's going to replace Logan Ryan. So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, but there's a lot of other players that you probably could have saved as much or more had you cut them, that are probably not as important, and I'll dive further into them throughout this video as well when I go over the salary cap. This was from a prior article from Pat Leonard, got this off Giants Wire. There are some people in the Giants front office that want to move on from the veteran safety, the Daily News has learned. But Ryan, who turned 31 on February 9th, is a critical leader and contributor. No one has delivered Ryan any bad news yet, to the News's knowledge. It wouldn't hurt if new defensive coordinator Don Martindale went to bat for Ryan, though he provides significant value on and off the field. Well, apparently Don did not go to bat for Logan Ryan. The Giants decided to part ways. Now, does this mean that Kyle Hamilton is very much in play for the New York Giants? What I'll tell you is I think he was in play before this. I'm not saying that we're going to draft him. He may not even be there. You know what I'm saying? For people to think that the Giants made this move knowing they're going to take Kyle Hamilton, they don't know Hamilton's going to get out of the top 4. A lot of people feel like Kyle Hamilton may be the best prospect in this year's draft class. The Jets could easily take him along with Houston. So we'll have to wait and see on draft night. But I don't think they made this move because they know they're going to go out there and draft Kyle Hamilton. That's at least my opinion on the topic. Do I think we could take him? Absolutely. We don't know who the New York Giants are going to take. We'll have to wait and see on draft night. I do think we'll take a lineman with one of those 2 picks, and they'll probably take the best available player on their board. But just because we cut Logan Ryan, I do not think that means that it's even more probable that we will draft Kyle Hamilton. That's not to say that we won't. We'll have to wait and see. Let's dive into who at least in my opinion, who the New York Giants could have cut and saved just as much money that is probably not as big of a contributor. And these are just the guys on the bottom. I left off Nick Gates, who's of course coming off of 7 leg surgeries that would save you over $2 million. I left off Darius Slayton, that would save you, actually he's at the top, that would save you 2.5. I don't think that Julian Love's on this list. He'd save you 2.5. You only saved $775,000 with this move. You look on this list, Shane Zimenez. If you cut him, he saves you over $1 million. And there's a number of other players when you look at the New York Giants roster that probably aren't as important to this team as Logan Ryan. So, like Vacchiano said, I don't think this was a cost-cutting move. It had to be a move where the New York Giants and Logan Ryan were not on the same page. Why were they not on the same page? I don't have the answer for you. Like I said, my best guess is, at least from Ryan's perspective, he's a veteran. He wants to win. He's 31 going on 32. I think a big reason why he came to this team to begin with was because of Joe Judge. Maybe it's, maybe he of course had a great relationship with Joe Judge at his prior destination. Maybe he didn't like the way that the New York Giants handled it, or maybe he just wants the opportunity to go and play for a winner. Regardless, he won't be here. And regardless, this move doesn't really help this football team. We'll have to wait and see how they fill out the rest of the roster. I like the Seals-Jones pickup, but we're going to need to continue to address that position in the draft. I do think by picking up Jones, I think the Giants will more than likely in the draft look for a tight end that is a very capable blocker. Let's put it that way. Something that we desperately need on this football team. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.